I think it's only fair to warn you, this facility is surrounded by a highly trained team of 130 Black Ops snipers.
I don't believe you.
Would you believe 24 Delta Force commandos?
No.
How about Chuck Norris with a BB gun?
You're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio.
Hi, welcome to Comedy Parenting Radio. My name's Jerry, and we're sitting up here in Studio B. I've got 8 eyeballs staring intently at me here, and you guys look very pious and solemn because, well, today we're going to be talking about snoring in church. How you guys doing?
Good.
Snoring in church. We'll be right back, folks.
Guess who needs to laugh the most? Your dentist. Day after day, they look into mouths of people with rotten teeth and bad breath. Give your dentist a breath of fresh air by sending them a copy of Dad the Tooth Fairy Didn't Come, and soon they'll be reclining in the chair and you'll be running the drill. To pick up your copy, send $20 check or money order to Tooth Fairy, 400 Prospector Trail, Marble, Colorado, 81623. That's Tooth Fairy, 400 Prospector Trail, Marble, Colorado, 81623.
Comedy Parenting Radio.
Just in, scientists discover that Canadian bacon is actually ordinary ham.
I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky.
Okay, thanks for joining us on Comedy Parenting Radio. Today we're talking about snoring in church. And first off, I want to start off by saying that I don't snore in church, though, at all myself. And
Yeah, you do.
no, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
I am very, very attentive, and I barely fall asleep.
No,
Oh, really?
There was one time where you were asked to say the prayer and you fell asleep while you were saying the prayer.
What do you mean, in front of the whole congregation?
Yeah.
I fell asleep?
Yeah, you were standing and you fell asleep. Saying the prayer.
It'd be good to be in the Army because you can stand and sleep while you're in the Army. You know, you fall asleep while you're up on your feet like that. But I'll tell you what, who was a really good snorer was your Grandpa Begley. No.
My Grandpa Begley?
Your great-grandpa Begley. That would be my Grandpa Begley. And he was Mennonite, and they have a very polite snore that's very unobtrusive in the sermon. And he would come visit us in Indiana, and I would look over, and he's sitting there with his arms folded, and he was kind of a short man, so you could barely see his head above the top of the pews. And he just had this quiet little... And I was very impressed, and I used to say to my dad, how come Grandpa falls asleep in church so much? And my dad would say, well, he's heard all the sermons already.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Dad, you really do sleep a lot in church.
Well, it's not like I exactly sleep in church. I just kind of go into like a hibernative type stare. As a matter of fact, I explained this to the preacher a couple of months ago so that he wouldn't feel so weird when I do it. And I said, I hear the beginning of the sermon quite distinctly, so I hear what's going on for the introduction and the beginning few points. Then I've got this little time here, like this 15 minutes in the middle of the sermon, where I kind of hear it, but it's really distant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've had that too.
You know, like really far away, like he's talking in a tin
Another
can.
What?
No, I hear the actual words, but anyway, so...
Or like you're hearing it underwater.
Yeah, like I'm hearing it underwater in a cathedral. And so anyway, that's how it is for about 15 minutes. And then after that, suddenly I notice he's wrapping it up. And I come back to kind of be present with everybody. And I'm very refreshed. That's how I know that it was good. I'm refreshed after the sermon's over. So I told him about that. So he can kind of watch me while he's preaching and see what stage I'm in, and he'll know whether he needs to wrap it up or not. You're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio. We'll be back in just a few snores.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I started going cold turkey. Well, at least when I'm in the car.
I know I shouldn't do it, but it's so hard to stop. That's why I hide it from myself, so I won't be tempted.
I used to do it all the time. I stopped by locking it in my glove compartment.
My friend used to do it way too much. Now I turn it off when we're in the car.
My solution is simple. I just don't do it.
There are lots of ways to stop yourself and others from texting and driving. How will you stop? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Comedy Parenting Radio.
Just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear.
Last week, I could not keep Joshua awake. You were sitting right next to me, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
And I was kind of pinching you, and I was lifting your head up, and I was...
You'd be surprised at how good he is at Spock pinches.
Secret Spock pinches in church are the best. You pretend that you're putting your arm around him to hug him, but you're actually pinching him.
Did you learn that from Christina, or did Christina teach you that?
I taught her everything she knows about secret pinching.
Courtney?
What?
Did you learn that from Christina, or did Christina teach you that?
Oops.
Yeah, thanks. Not for not letting me have any credit whatsoever there. But anyway, I could not keep you awake, could I?
Not really.
You're in a growth spurt, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
You've grown about 3 or 4 inches in the last day, or something like that. But
inches? How about feet?
No, you still have 2.
You don't fit in the bed much anymore, do you?
No, I'm going to need a new one. Either that or we need a saw hole in the wall.
Why is that pair of feet sticking out the side of the house?
It's like that Dr. Seuss book where the guy, if he stuck his head in, his feet would go out, and if he stuck his feet in, his head would go out the other side.
That's a true story, isn't it? Courtney, tell us about a time that you snored in church or somebody else snored.
Snored in church. I know there was one time where I was sleeping in church, or I was awake in church, and next thing I knew, my face was in between my legs, and it was the end of the service, and Christine's like, "You just slept." Next thing
Christina
I knew,
said, "You just slept." Me.
Just gives you the giggles.
Next thing I knew, I was almost on the floor, and the service was over.
What surface?
The service.
The surface was over. The surface of the church was over. Come on. Okay, so Joshua, have you ever snored in church or done anything like that?
Besides the example that you just gave?
Yeah, any others?
Well, yeah, I've actually fallen asleep several times.
You have?
Yeah, it used to be a lot less noticeable when I was littler.
Oh, when you were like toddler size?
Toddler size to 7 years old.
When toddlers fall asleep, they just go like a limp rag, and they're just like a fish kind of draped over your knee.
It's true.
Yeah.
You wake up and you feel great.
Oh!
We're going to try and save this show with a break. We'll be right back.
I don't believe it. My savings are gone. They're gone.
You're kidding.
Nope, they're gone. They're gone.
Okay, all right. Think about it. Where did you have them last?
I remember I was home, then I took them, and then I spent them on that vacation to Aruba. Then I bought this miniature suit of armor I saw in the in-flight magazine.
And that's the last you saw of your savings?
Yes.
This is so weird.
I know, right?
Weird? Not really. Not saving now means no money later. You'd be surprised how quickly a little money from every paycheck can really add up. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
The armor is cool, though. Oops. I think I broke its gauntlet.
You broke my favorite part.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Guys don't talk to guys about guy problems. We just punch each other on the shoulders.
That's stupid.
To a girl. To a guy, that's like 6 months of therapy.
So, it comes to this. Man to man, mano a mano, toe to toe, nose to nose, shirts and skins, eggs over meat.
$35 bid now, $40, 40. Will you give me 40? Make it 40 bidding on a $40 who? Give me 40 who'll bid a $40 bid. $40 bid now, 45. Will you give me 45 to make it 45 to bid it 45? Who would have bid it at a $45 bid?
Okay, you're back with Comedy Parenting Radio, and we're getting updates on our phone over there, aren't we, in the studio? Anyway, we're talking about snoring in church, but they used to have a way to deal with that in the old days, didn't they?
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact.
That we kind of alluded to that in the episode, the Comedy Parenting episode of Church Organist Horror Stories. You want to tell us a little bit how they kept people from falling asleep in church, Joshua?
Well, they would have... well, there were these churches, Puritan or Puritist or something like that. And, maybe also Catholics did it, I don't know. It's been a year since I read about it, but they would have this guy that was going around with a wooden pole that had a brass knob and a feather on it, or a thorn on it, and they would use it to wake people up if they fell asleep.
How did they use a thorn to wake people up?
There's a funny story about that, okay? So, there was this one guy that fell asleep in church, and he had his hand up on the back of the pew, and the bailiff came walking around, and he saw the guy was asleep, and he walked over, and he pricked the guy on the hand, and the guy jumped up and yelled, "Cursed be woodchuck!"
You've been snoring with Comedy Parenting Radio today. Thanks for coming up to the studio, gang.
Thanks for having us.
Joshua? Joshua? Okay. Anyway, thanks for coming up. And you can take that pole with the brass knob with you, Courtney.
Thanks.
Oh.
I'll need it.
Why?
You're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio.
Okay.
Bang na off.
Oh, really, Bright Eyes? What alerted you? Was it no boom boom or the lack of a mushroom cloud?
It was the mushroom cloud for me.